One Friday at midnight, lights off, black clothes. I was attending a ceremony. In the middle of the room were a black candle and a red candle. The woman who was leading the session entered a dark room and prepared to receive the entity. The order came for us to position ourselves in a circle around the candles. During the concentration I heard footsteps. When I looked towards the door, I saw someone come in familiar, someone all black, the same spirit that had tormented my long and terrible nights since my childhood days. It was the only spirit whose eyes I had ever seen. He walked past me and I saw that he was extremely handsome, but he left an evil mark. As he passed, my body changed. I was rigid before I was finally able to lower my head. The spirit approached the room and entered the priestess, who immediately laughed, and presented herself to us with a red cloak and a dagger in her hand. The atmosphere was scary for everyone. All had their eyes fixed on this lady. She approached me and said in a hollow voice, "I've been waiting for you here since the day you were born." He introduced himself as Lucio, Las Lucifer, and invited me to make an eternal blood pact. He made me understand that this pact was the privilege of few people who seek wealth and success in artistic, cultural, political, and business circles. It is very difficult to refuse an invitation like this, but deep down I felt that I had to refuse, that I should suppress this desire. But I gave myself. I arrived at the top of the mountain of spiritualism, black magic, the widest and easiest door for those who want immediate success, financial satisfaction, the satisfaction of carnal desires and power. YAHUSHA like to consult diviners, seers, fetishes in spiritualism. There are several types of people. There are people who are there out of curiosity, some out of necessity, and they will begin a compromise with an evil entity. People come and ask for something. When they receive these things, they become debtors. The fact of having participated in an occult feast and of having participated in sacred dances bind the participants to the devil. The devil is not satisfied with sacrifices, with the money that you can give to the seer. What he covets is a soul, and from the moment you consult a seer or witch like me, it gives him permission to go to his final goal, to take the soul of the person who once came to ask him something. Lucio, the demon embodying the devil, explained to me that he had chosen me before I was born. He had drawn up a plan for me. He wanted me to occupy an important place in Brazilian witchcraft. When everyone in the room heard this, they bowed to me, curtsying. Spiritualistic sorcerers work a lot by revelation and not by knowledge. Basically, I knew very little about the science of spiritualism. Things came about because we were incorporated or because we saw and heard spirits. Lucio, demon embodying the devil, was now living in my mind. When I declare a thing, it would happen. I could make a man become a homosexual. Several times I have done this. I had the capacity to destroy a home, a business, a government. We can destroy a head of state, we can also place one as the head of a state. This is why living without Jesus Christ makes you are an unprotected person who can be easily killed like a goat. All of this happens through black magic. Not long ago, my country experienced a scandal. See testimony of the ex-wife of the president, Roseanne Collar, when it was discovered that the president practiced black magic. This is not an isolated case, it is just an exposure. All over the earth, at this very moment, millions and millions of people are searching in the occult for the answer to their problems. There is total and boundless ignorance in this world. Blindness that leads people to open any door. When I arrived at a certain level, I believed that I was at the pinnacle, at the higher grade. I was preparing to receive all the promises of Lucio, demon incarnating the devil. He told me he would make me the highest priestess in this country. I started to wonder about the level I had. I wondered why all of my influences were negative. Everything I did wrong was working fine. If I wanted to hurt even my father or my mother, if someone pissed me off, all I had to do was look at them, to hurt them. You know, I could make people sick. I could telepathically send an illness, "You're going to get sick now." In front of me, I saw that the people were having hard times. There were times when I hurt a lot of people. Sometimes I was surprised by the extent of this power. My mother once said to me, "You look like the devil." I was laughing in her face. There is no devil, the devil does not exist. This may surprise you, but I can tell you that many of those who practice the occult do not really know by what higher power they operate by, they do what they do. I considered Lucio, demon embodying the devil, as a vigilante, a friend, someone who rendered me services, who beat me and who punished me, because he was my owner, my lord, he had rights over me. But also, he was the one I turned to in order to ask for whatever I wanted. It was our relationship. In black magic, there are artists, politicians, well-known people who are looking for me. Many have come to see me for rituals to make them famous, and they are very well known today. Unfortunately for them, they went looking for a shortcut to fame, notoriety, and all that one covets on earth. They went to seek it at the feet of Lucio, the Prince of Demons of Brazil. Those who seek things from Satan, in most cases, ignore the consequences of eternal destruction which they bring upon themselves and all their families. The true protection of a God-fearing Christian. One evening, a woman came to order me to kill her neighbor who was a real Christian. The spirit I was working with told me, I can't touch her. But the woman insisted, saying she couldn't stand her neighbor anymore who harassed her to go to church with her. She spends her time singing hymns. She's a fanatic that she couldn't stand. I called the spirit again, he answered me again. I have already said that I cannot do anything to this woman, she is constantly on her knees before God, and the spirit of this woman is very tall. After that, I deduced that the Bible was a great fetish. A man without Jesus Christ can be killed anywhere and anywhere by a sorcerer. During another consultation, a man came to order the death of his partner. Usually the spirits do not ask questions about the reasons for death requests, but tonight they asked, "So you want to kill someone who is equally associated with your business?" Yes, that's right, he has no parents, no family. I thought I could be the sole owner of this business. That evening Lucio was present. I heard him say that he could kill anyone, no matter who. It got me thinking. In this anyone I was included. He could also kill me at any time. Me who had served him for years. 7 days later, everyone was celebrating the death of this poor man, another life destroyed prematurely. Yet these services are very expensive. Not everyone can afford to pay what the spirits demanded. The sorcerer receives his share, he receives a lot. But it was like a mirage, the money is not accessible. It is an illusion. Because it is the spirits that true you and therefore also your part. We see a lot of money, people bring a lot of money, in order to receive favors immediately. Once an entity told me, even by paying us, what I give them with one hand, I would take back with both hands. This sentence also prompted me to think. The true protection of the true Christian. The first time I actually heard of the gospel was in black magic when someone gave us the order to kill a Christian woman. We were told to avoid taking orders for Christians. Spirits have explained to me that practicing Christians are their first enemies. They taught me that for these people, Satan's government over the entire earth did not affect them. When the lady made a description of her neighbor whom she wished dead, I was present at the scene. I, a witch, am like a secretary. It was Lucio, the demon embodying the devil, or the other entities who were my bosses and who told me what to say and what to do in front of the person who came for consultation. The woman was talking and talking. She said, "This woman is constantly in prayers and in praise, she does not worship Our Lady, the Virgin," and she said that my spirits helping me were demons. I watched the discussion between her and Lucio, the demon embodying the devil. I said to myself that I had to destroy these Christians when Lucio, the demon incarnating the devil, cried, "Basta. Enough. It's no use, we're not going to do anything." Lucio, the demon embodying the devil, said that this one woman was superior to him. I was puzzled. Very puzzled. At that time I didn't know Lucio was a devil. I had never heard the content of the gospel. I just thought this Christian had a bigger fetish. I concluded that Christians were the deadliest sorcerers. It was only later that I knew the truth that set me free. I understood the secret of Christians, the blood of Jesus Christ. The death of the partner, a man without Jesus, of this man occurred in a tragic traffic accident. Killing someone in witchcraft is no different than the contract for a hitman. Simply there is no proof. We invoke the entity of death by making offerings to him and giving him animal blood sacrifices. The sponsor arrived with a new card, filled with an offering for Lucio, the demon embodying the devil. When I saw this, I told myself that even though I didn't believe in hell, I was going through it. I was worried. When I got home, I decided not to do this job anymore. As soon as I got home, I took off all my priestess pageantry. I threw away the big skirts, pictures, guides and the other paraphernalia. During the consultations people came, crying, sometimes desperate. They exposed their problems. And I said to them, yes, in your entourage, there is someone who wants to harm you, etc. I made a list of the material necessary for the deliverance when sometimes there was nothing. It was a way of binding the person. This is how Macumba, witch doctors, works. No one ever leaves a consultation without getting into a problem. The person will come back and somehow compromise with Satan to be freed. When my mom saw this, she got scared and asked me not to make such a decision. I was determined. I took all this arsenal and threw it in several bags in the river, in accordance with the spiritualist custom. Back home, my mom was in a panic. She was desperately asking me not to stop everything because I was born for it. But for me, it was too much. I no longer wanted spirits. As soon as I entered my room, Lucio stormed in and banged the door. I will never forget his expression and the hurt he gave off. You belong to me. If you think you can easily break free from me, you are wrong. None of the people who belong to me abandon me without consequences. If you persist, I can take you right now into the darkness. What is incredible at this level is that I did not believe in heaven or hell. In the spiritualist doctrine, one believes in reincarnation. When we die, we return systematically either to pay for our sins or to enjoy the blessings and rewards of the previous life. I did not believe in eternal and final places like heaven and hell. We also had a bit of Catholic doctrine, where there was talk of some people going into purgatory. I resisted. I told him I didn't want him anymore. I still thought at that moment that the powers that I had were really my personal powers. I did not know that they were loans of the devil. The Bible teaches that Jesus came to undo the works of Satan because in reality, no man has power. We act either through Jesus or through the opposite power. As I believed I had powers, I opposed the entity. I told him I was stopping everything. He replied, in that case I will kill you now. The entity possessed me and I lost all dominance. My body was writhing as if I had epilepsy. I thought about all the deaths that I had caused, the homes destroyed by my hand, the lives of failure and so many other evils that I had caused in the lives of people. I had the will but not the power to free myself on my own. The entity dominated me. The spirit grabbed me by the neck and pulled me out of my body. At that moment the ground opened up. The abyss was under our feet. I saw things that I had never believed before. From that moment on, I knew that darkness existed because I walked there. Several thoughts crossed my mind, hell really exists and therefore heaven too. Then I also understood how much the spirits and Lucio had used me. In fact, I was their slave. I thought of all those people who like me had been deceived into serving the devil. All these people who do not know that they will end up in hell. All these entities, spirits, orishas, caboclos, guides, vigilante spirits, etc. All these entities of different categories are just a form of deception. They were all demons. At the end of my life, I was in front of the devil who told me that I belonged to him. That's all. I went down without being able to hold on to anything. We know we are going to an eternal place. It's the worst feeling a being can have. It's really terrible. The spirit dragged me through a dark, slippery dark tunnel. The tunnel was as big as the abyss through which I plunged into an eternal reality, which I did not believe until then. He was pushing me by the neck and shouting, "I'm taking you now." At a certain point he said to me, "Tomorrow we will find your body in the room and then you will be taken to the cemetery." He showed me my body lying on my bed in my room. I felt the anguish of darkness run through my being. Suddenly, in a fraction of a second, A name came to mind: God. With what I had left of strength, I shouted, "If there is a God more powerful than Lucifer, save me and I will be your slave." I then saw the sky open, a ball of fire like lightning falling on me. This fire gave me strength, a new unknown strength. The spirit which controlled me moments before had been violently thrown to the ground. It is said in the word, "Call me and I will come." Psalm 50 hours 15 minutes. Call upon me in the day of trouble, I shall rescue you, and you will honor me. When the unhappy man cries out, the Lord hears. It is for people who do not know God, because He does not intervene in the life of an unbeliever in the same way as He does in the life of a believer. I appealed to this God I did not know. Yes, He comes to the aid of suicidal people, people with vices, wizards, prostitutes, homosexuals, the miserable. He sent help from heaven for me. I knew there was a force above in heaven. My first instinct was to step on him and smash his head. I wanted to tell him, "I am stronger than you." But he got up on a rebound and he fled, saying to me, "I couldn't kill you, now someone else will have to die in exchange. You will pay me. The Prince of Darkness has declared war on me." 7 days after that, my daughter, whom I had consecrated in my ignorance to Yemenja, the goddess of the sea in Brazil, but who in reality is a demon like the others, died. A healthy 1-year-old left like that. The doctors never understood this sudden death. But I could not tell them that I had offered her at birth to the spirits, and her death was the salary of 22 years of a life devoted to darkness, to all forms of occultism, witchcraft, spiritualism. I began to understand how the principality of Lucifer worked. Every week a new misfortune. My whole family was affected by something. My mother suffered from several seizures and contracted tuberculosis. This is what hurt me the most. In the law of spiritualism, whoever is born to be a priest or priestess cannot leave it. So I called on Lucio, who boasted of himself, "You see. Nobody laughs at me. I started to destroy your family, you will be next. I no longer wish to make a compromise with you. What I want is your blood. I don't have any mercy." I begged him to stop beating my mom. He offered me an exchange. Your life against hers. I've always asked for your blood. Now, this is how you are going to die. You are going to throw yourself under a train. I want you entirely, I want your body and your soul. Deep down I knew that the spirit was lying to me. I knew that after my death, he would not keep his promise. But I had no room for negotiation.